So, and then the other thing I think to think about when you're talking book launches, and this is a hot topic, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, but is price. So that's one of your other big one of the 5 Ps that I've talked about, and I think with price, it's really hard to know what's going to work. Excuse me. So with Exile, it launched at 99 cents, and a lot of people do not agree with me that that was the right move. A lot of people would say that you're undervaluing the work, and so people will look at that price and then assume it can't be of high quality because it's that cheap. I tend to disagree with that. I tend to think that the book has done well in its starting months because of that price point. It was allowing more people to encounter it, basically. But there's a risk to kind of both mindsets, and I think you really got to play that quite carefully. So at this point now, we're in January, so it's been 4 months since launch, and so at this point now I'm starting to think about approaching price differently. So maybe it's time to lift the price slightly and start trying to alter the way that the algorithm is engaging with the book, compared to when it first came out, and there was a lot of kind of organic hype about it. So you've got to think about all these things, and there are several approaches, but that was mine, was to run it at the most accessible cost possible, and hopefully that would maximize buy-in.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would, I think honestly, once you get like, I think if you put it at like 99 cents, like that probably motivates some people who maybe they saw the cover and they were like, yeah, but then it's like, well, it's only 99 cents. So, like it might motivate those people that were not originally motivated by seeing it, But I think maybe this is different online or in store. Like if I want something, I buy it. You know what I mean? Like if I want the book,
Yeah.
if I want a book and the book is, it could be $20 or $40, but like if I really want it,
You're gonna
I'm
buy it
gonna get it.
regardless. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And what I've noticed, at least in the store, is just that. Like if people want the thing, they don't worry too much. And especially like nowadays, like everything is so expensive anyways. I really think people just like, if they're going to spend the money, they're going to spend the money.
They've already mentally committed before they get there. Yeah. That's
So,
right. That's right.
now where that plays into like for instance, great example. So like this is where like, I think it's kind of on a spectrum. Brandon Sanderson, people are buying his book. Like they don't care if it's,
That's right.
$70 or whatever. But like in the case of an indie author, that is a good question of like, does that 99 cents really push people? Do I bump it up? Like, yeah. So I don't know what the answer is, but I do think for the most part, if people see something and they're like, I want that, they don't, unless it's outrageous,
right.
they don't really think too much about it.
I think I guess the thing I'm settled on with this is that in the context of the launch itself, I think the 99 cents was really helpful to be able to say, like the book's out. Everyone's naturally excited for the book to come out. There was a decent amount of hype beforehand. And so, the book's out and it's only 99 cents. But then I think now that we've kind of come out of that kind of, that hype train moment, now I'm really starting to think about it more from the angle that you're coming at, where we say, well, what's the book worth? If the reader's interested in the book, they're going to buy it anyway. And then they'll actually feel like they've gotten, value from it as well. So there's kind of two perceived aspects of what value means, both for the reader and for the person who's created the product, which is me, right? So that's another thing to think about. But yeah, and then I think the other thing to consider around your book launch time is one of the other P's, which is promotion. So like promotion is yeah, like it's graphics online. It's doing social media. It's engaging with your audience through whatever means you can. But it's also, I'm talking as well, like actual formal promotions that you can do online. So thinking about, can you invest a small amount of money into an ebook
Mm-hmm.
promotion service or something like that? I did one. It was pretty good. In fact, it yielded pretty decent results. Um, I'd probably be inclined to do it again. At the same time, I think that um, you can kind of naturally steer people towards your work nearly with just a little bit more effort than something like one of those paid services. So it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know a lot of people will talk about things like BookBub, which is obviously like one of the bigger promotional services that are available to indies. But something like BookBub, for example, it's an exclusive thing. So they'll pick you. You've got to submit an application, and if you get picked, then you pay quite a high fee, but you're guaranteed a decent return. But the chance of being picked is slim, and you need to meet certain criteria. So you need to have 50 reviews minimum, this number of sales minimum, blah blah blah. So that's one kind of formally paid promotional service that you could try using. But again, you're not going to be able to do that at launch time. So
Yeah.
so what I was doing instead, what I was doing was thinking of ways that I could promote product through my own means. So for example, I did a launch edition that was signed and numbered, and I did that through my web store, and I limited it to 20 copies. And 20 copies is not much.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the 20 copies sold a lot faster than I anticipated, and that was a good thing. But also at the same time, what that's meant now is that continuing through with the series, if I do 20 and my audience grows, well, it's going to be very hard to get a numbered. So,
Yeah.
and that can build hype because you now have an exclusive product here, that you might have a chance to buy in on at some stage. But at the same time, it can detriment you as well. So thinking about that stuff really carefully, I think if I could have my time again, I possibly would have made it a slightly longer run, maybe 30, maybe a little bit more, just because of how fast it sold through. But different authors have different levels of exposure and different audience sizes, and so you need to think about it in the context of your book and what you're trying to launch. But I would recommend doing something like that. That was really helpful, and it steered a lot of people to my mailing list. And honestly, like organically growing your mailing list is really important as an indie author, because it gives you a local contact point with people that really care about your work. So